You're listening to Mike and Scott read a poem. This week, Sonnet 38. Mike, how big of a show do you want to do this week?
I want to give him the whole 9 yards.
You want to do the whole kit and caboodle?
Nah, maybe I'll just go for the whole shebang.
We'll see what show we end up doing. This is episode 20, Sonnet 38, on Mike and Scott read a poem. Here's one thing that I have gotten better at as I've gotten older. A lot more preventative measures so that I don't have to use the garbage disposal.
Ah,
You know what I'm
so
saying?
what are some of these measures, these preventable measures?
Well, it's you really make sure to use that white plastic thing that you put in the sinkhole. It has holes in it so that water could pass through easily, but if there are food particles that came off of a plate, then that's going to start blocking those holes. So you got to take that thing out of the sink when it starts getting plugged, and then shake it out over the trash. Maybe you get like a paper towel or something, although that might be wasteful. So I don't know, maybe. But you really get it out of there. You clean that thing, you put it back in the sink. You didn't have to use the garbage disposal.
Nice.
You're gonna have to use the garbage disposal sometimes. I mean, let's get real. We're not perfect. Sometimes
there's bigger jobs. Sometimes they're smaller.
Yeah, so over time, maybe things are going to get down there. So you run the water, you run the garbage disposal, you turn off the garbage disposal, you let the water run a little bit more, although I know we're in a drought, so also, try to not use the water there. But then, you got to get things out of the garbage disposal so that you run it every once in a while. But don't think that you're just going to scrape this stuff off of the plate into the garbage disposal and then all your troubles go away. It's going to break the garbage disposal.
Yeah, my whole life I've struggled with what goes down there and what doesn't. Because, I've thrown huge pieces of, on the steak where there's the rubbery part, the gristle that you can't really chew up too well.
Yeah.
I throw that down there, man.
I don't think so.
And I'm scared every time I do it.
I don't think you should. Look, it has no business.
I live on the edge, man.
Well, that's probably good for the garbage disposal industry. I mean, they probably don't want us, living perfect garbage disposal lives. Otherwise, they'd never sell another garbage disposal.
Yeah, and I gotta, keep my garbage disposal's chops up.
Oh, you think that it has to practice?
Yeah, every day.
You think that a machine designed specifically with one task in mind needs to practice in order to get better?
Use it or lose it.
All right, well, that's not true. Okay, so Sonnet, do you want to guess it off the top of your head?
Just a shot in the dark. I think we're on 37.
Close.
Unless that was last week.
That was last week. So now we're on Sonnet 38. I wonder
38.
if we're in any way going to be able to compare this sonnet to the workings of a garbage disposal.
I have a feeling
last week
we might be able to tie it back.
Last week before the show, our goal was to list as many or come up with movies that Liam Neeson would be in the middle of analyzing the sonnet.
Uh-huh.
We didn't really do it that much. So maybe this week we will achieve this task, which is compare this sonnet in to a garbage disposal in some way. We'll see.
We should do this every week.
Have a task that we never get to. I agree.
That's an easy one.
So this week, the task that we will not be doing is let's just eliminate one thing per week. So one thing that we will not be doing is comparing this sonnet to a garbage disposal. It's like the sonnet, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?" Ours is, "Shall I compare thee to a garbage disposal?" The answer is no. This week, I will not be comparing you to a garbage disposal. Maybe next week.
Unless it just kind of happens on accident.
If it happens, it happens. We don't have to stick to these things. If it happens, it happens.
All right. Sonnet 38.
Wait, hold on. I forgot to go to it. I was so busy talking. Sonnet 38. Uh-oh. There's another famous Sonnet 38 by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. So, let's, maybe as a trivia question, We'll look up her sonnet 38. We won't do the whole shebang. We'll just do a little... What's smaller than a shebang?
Shindig?
I feel that's a party.
Mm-hmm.
I think you throw a shindig. And
A shebang is a pretty big party, isn't it? No,
No,
it's not a party.
I think
You're
a
right.
shebang is a measurement. It's like the whole 10 yards. It's the whole shebang. You do everything. Whereas a shindig is, hey, I'm at my house. It's going to be a little shindig. We're not going to do the whole shebang. You're right.
All right.
Well, no, in that case, anything is smaller than a shebang if you put it that way. Because you could have a big shindig. It was a big shindig.
What's a smaller unit of measurement than a shebang?
Well, we're going to look up both of these terms, by the way. Shindig, shebang, origins. So what's another measurement? I don't know. Shebang. In that language, whatever, I don't understand the units of a shebang.
What about a kit and caboodle?
The whole kit and caboodle?
Yeah.
You're not talking about half the kit and caboodle? Well,
Nope.
I think... Here's what I think. I do have an answer for this. I think kit and caboodle is very tangible. I think it's like really like everything you have. How much did it cost? The whole kit and caboodle. No, is that? I don't know. What's kit and caboodle? The whole shebang is an emotion of how much effort you're going to put into something.
Yeah, I'm gonna do it all. I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm doing it the whole way.
I took my wife out on a date. I did the whole shebang. I got her flowers.
Yeah.
I had a dinner reservation. I didn't just go somewhere where you could put your name on the wait list. No, I planned ahead and I made a reservation. That's a big step. I did the whole shebang.
I think we'll have to look it up. We can kind of try to come up with another word for it.
Okay. I don't think we can.
That'll be one of our trivia questions. We'll see.
I think I asked a question that just it was way too hard for us in the moment. But anyway, so Shakespeare, you're on Shakespeare-Sonnets or Shakespeare-Online?
Shakespeare's-sonnets.com.
Okay, so I go to online. Is this the one that's going to be like blue and orange? Yeah. Okay. All right. So this week, we're going to not only read the poem, we're going to analyze it, and then we're going to tell you whether or not we were right or wrong after looking up the correct answer. We're doing the whole shebang this week. And then we're going to have a little shindig at the end where we answer some trivia questions. But first...
We're giving you the whole kit and caboodle today.
I'm sorry, Elizabeth Bennet Browning. Oh, is it Barrett Browning? I don't know. We'll look that up. All right. But first, Sonnet 38 by William Shakespeare.
Sonnet 38. How can my muse want subject to invent? While thou dost breathe, thou pour'st into my verse thine own sweet argument too excellent for every vulgar paper to rehearse. Oh, give thyself the thanks, if aught in me worthy pursual stand against thy sight. For who's so dumb that cannot write to thee when thou thyself dost give intention to light? Be thou the 10th muse, 10 times more in worth than those old 9 which rhymes invocate. And he that calls on thee, let him bring forth eternal numbers to outlive long date. If my slight muse do please these curious days, the pain be mine, but thine shall be the praise. It felt like a short one today.
I didn't have the same experience as you.
You felt it was long?
It felt normal to me.
Oh, okay.
Well, were you completely in the sonnet the whole time, or did you get a little lost?
I was in it.
The whole time?
In it to win it.
So do you think you have an interpretation right off the bat? Just like an accusation in Clue?
The best I can kind of do is, I know that he's comparing his muse to other people, and I think he's talking about how great his muse is compared to all the others.
I think it might be that if I write about you, then I don't have to make up anything. I just write about you.
Oh, we've heard
Yeah.
something like this before in one of the other sonnets. Then, if it's like
Right.
that, I forget which sonnet it was, but I feel like it was in the teens or maybe the early 20s.
He's back there. As I said
Yeah.
last week, we don't keep notes, so I don't know. I don't know what's what. Don't ask me to remember.
But the concept in that one was it would almost do a disservice to the person to describe them in words, right? Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or it would be a disservice to try to embellish on how you look or what you look like. I think that was maybe the sonnet that was about that gave me the feeling that maybe Shakespeare's love here is somewhat skin deep.
Unabashedly skin deep, not
In a good way.
not being vulgar, but just really appreciating beauty.
Yeah.
I guess it's still it's up to your opinion whether or not it's vulgar or not.
No, I think it's a good thing though that he's trying to portray this love as saying like, look, there's nothing wrong with loving how beautiful something is.
And saying that there's no reason to embellish. It's like there's no reason to airbrush you. Wouldn't you be offended if you were a really beautiful person and you were in a magazine and then you go to see it and they completely airbrushed you? You'd be like, what was wrong with me? I'm beautiful.
Like, what is this?
Yeah.
There's stretch marks here.
Me? Yeah. Where are the
where are my stretch marks?
Yeah. It's part of my beauty. I wouldn't mind it if I was airbrushed. If I saw a picture of me. I know, it might look ridiculous, though. Like, if my friends saw it, and they're like, hey, I saw you on the cover of the magazine. Your skin was beautiful.
Yeah.
And then they look at my skin. Your skin does not look like that.
It's just like an Oil of Olay ad.
Yeah. It's just
your skin looks milky smooth.
Hey, did you see Scott? Yeah, he's in that Oil of Olay ad. Yeah. His face does not look like that. I know. It's hard to be around him.
Everyone's just disappointed when they see you in real life now.
Yeah, it's hard to be around him and not bring up the fact that you look way better in the Oil of Olay ad. So,
all right, so shall we break this down? Break it down now?
Yeah. Oh, and there's something about pain in the end. About, I don't know, I think maybe this is... Because remember that there's been a storyline about they had some sort of fight, they were breaking up.
Yeah.
And that... But then Shakespeare's like, but I want you to be happy. I'll take my happiness from your happiness.
Mm-hmm. The soap opera.
Yeah, we did that with Jim Bruce last week, who was a very fun guest, by the way. We should take a moment to thank Jim Bruce for being on our show last week.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
So, at that point, he's taking all of his pleasure in the fair youth's happiness. So here, he's going back to talking about... He's talking about writing about this person again. So maybe maybe in the end it's something about, even though there's some sort of pain or rift between us, I don't know, I still take some glory in you. I don't know, I think it's a combination of all the themes thus far.
All right, let's see how close or far away we were here.
How can my muse want subject to invent? All right, that's how can the person that I'm writing about, it wouldn't want me, it doesn't need me to invent anything about them.
So like in my writings.
Uh-huh.
He's saying, okay.
Why thou dost breathe, that pourest into my verse thine own sweet argument. So while you're alive, you pour this energy into my writing, which is this message that you have, or this feeling that you have.
Mm-hmm.
Too excellent for every vulgar paper to rehearse.
Oh, did you miss the... so, thine own sweet argument.
Yeah, that's the thing that you're talking about.
Oh, okay.
Or that's the thing that you're pouring into my verse. Thy own sweet argument. Like the inside of when you're writing computer code. Isn't it like the thing in the parentheses? Isn't that the argument?
Yeah. It's called syntax.
Too excellent for every vulgar paper to rehearse. I'm thinking that your natural beauty or your natural thing, too excellent for every vulgar paper to rehearse. Maybe something about everything that a poet writes about you. I gotta iron that out later. You got anything?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm rereading because I'm thinking. What if it's... What I'm kind of getting out of this first quatrain is, when somebody is someone's muse, just their presence is what inspires the art, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking he's saying here that just you existing, living in my life, is allowing me to write better. Thine own sweet argument too excellent for every vulgar paper to rehearse. I don't know what he means by vulgar paper, though.
It could be like if I'm like poems that you're trying to write, crafting versus things that come inspirationally from you.
Okay, let's go on. Maybe it'll all tie back better.
Okay. Oh, give thyself the thanks, if aught in me worthy perusal stand against thy sight.
Worthy perusal. I'm gonna look up perusal.
To look over, like when you're perusing in a store.
Oh yeah, I think you're right. Okay, here it is. The action of reading or examining something.
If you are reading my poems and they seem pretty good to you, worthy perusal stand against thy sight. I don't know what stand against thy sight means. For who so dumb that cannot write to thee when thou thyself doth give invention light?
For who's so dumb that cannot write to thee when thou thyself dost give invention light? So nobody is dumb enough. I like that he uses the term dumb here.
Yeah, how dumb?
This guy's dumb.
But does it mean that they can't say? How impaired does a person's speech have to be?
Yeah.
How impaired can someone's writing be?
Yeah, that you, fair youth, as a muse, don't inspire. Right?
Yeah. Like, you create all this inspiration. If a person can't write about you, that's their fault. It's not on you. They're a great
just
muse.
Dumb.
Yeah. Maybe what happened is he wasn't able to inspire somebody. And then this guy's trying to give him comfort. Like, hey, look. You are such a great muse. If somebody can't write about you, that is their fault. Maybe somebody else is trying to write poetry to this guy, and Shakespeare thinks he's not as good at it.
Maybe he's like referring to himself.
Okay, yeah.
Like, who's so dumb? Like, would that be like pumping himself up or putting himself down, though?
Well, if he's saying that if you read it and they're not good, if the poems are not as beautiful as you, it's not because of you. It's because of the poet. So if my poems aren't good enough, it's because of me. If it's because of another poet out there, it's because of them. But it is not about you.
Got it. I like that.
Yeah. It's like somebody puts on a show, like a band or a play or
like the band Muse.
A stand-up comedian. Yeah, like the band Muse. What if they go out and do a show and the audience just hates it? Their manager might say, hey, look, you guys were great up there. And just because they weren't feeling it, that's on them, not on you. But in this case, he's talking to a muse, saying, hey, just because your audience didn't respond the way they were supposed to, that's on them, not on you.
Totally different.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can draw a parallel between those two.
Yeah. You know what it's like? It's like when you've used that plastic thing to stop food from going down the sink.
No! Don't do it, Scott!
Wait, what? What? And then I was going to say the garbage disposal. Oh, wait a minute!
You said it! It's too late!
All right, well, and then the garbage disposal breaks anyway. That's not on you. You did everything you could to save that garbage disposal. It's just on the crummy garbage disposal. Sometimes these things are just garbage.
All right. So, be thou the 10th garbage disposal, 10 times more in worth. Be thou the 10th muse, 10 times more in worth than those old 9 which rhymers invocate. So, you're better than all the other 9? I don't know why he's coming up with such specific numbers here.
Well, just because there have been lots of poems in the past. I don't know. Or maybe there's some historical reference to 9 muses that we don't know about.
Oh, yeah, there might be.
Is it like a biblical reference that's totally obvious that we should know?
Or some Roman play or something like that.
Yeah. So if there's some sort of reference to 9 muses, I want you to be the 10th muse. It's like the 5th Beatle or the 6th man at a basketball game, or the rally monkey at Angel Stadium.
The rally monkey.
Yeah,
he's still around.
So be thou the 10th muse, 10 times more in worth than those old 9 which rhymers invocate. So all the people that the other poets are talking about, it's not, you're way more. It's a very high equation here, so you're 10 times more than all those other 9. So you're way better than a lot of people.
Yeah.
And he calls that on thee. Let him bring forth eternal numbers to outlive long date. Is this go and have a lot of kids again? Is this a callback to all the procreation?
Ooh, maybe. That's a weird line, though. It kind of feels like it comes out of nowhere. And he that calls on thee. So the person that uses you as a muse, let him bring forth eternal numbers to outlive long date. So what's that mean? There's a reference to eternity there. Maybe, when you write things down, it's forever on paper, and you're going to be remembered forever in someone's poems if they write about you.
Yep, you're right.
All right.
If my slight muse do please these curious days, the pain be mine, but thine shall be the praise.
The pain be mine, but thine shall be the praise. If my slight muse do please these curious days.
Maybe the muse is looking at going out into the world, having curious days, maybe having rendezvous with other people. Then it's going to hurt me, but I don't know, I'm stuck. Then these poems about you are still going to go on forever because you're inspiring me.
Well, okay, I think a key here to unraveling this, the final couplet here, might be the curious days reference.
Yes.
So, if my slight muse do please these curious days, the pain be mine, but thine shall be the praise. So the curious days, I feel like that's just he's talking about not the status quo, but how things are going right now, and it's weird. Things are not going as they usually do, but
I think it might even be direct to if you're giving into temptations, pleasing these curious days.
Ooh, pleasing these curious days. That's a good way to say that.
It feels like it may be about giving into temptation.
If my slight muse do please these curious days, the pain be mine, but thine shall be the praise. I like that. Yeah, okay. I'll go with that.
But then,
it could even be if you want to be somebody else's muse.
Okay.
It could even be that, It doesn't have to be sexual.
So I heard that you're somebody else's muse too now, huh? Well, I just want to say that I understand it really hurts me, but you are worthy of all this praise.
If our interpretation is correct, that's what he would be saying there.
I don't know about this one. This is a scary week on Mike and Scott Read a Poem.
It does feel a bit scary because there's not too much to confuse us in this sonnet, but there's not a clear vision throughout the whole entire thing.
I am confused at a lot of points. I'm confused about the vulgar paper to rehearse. Mm-hmm. I'm confused about worthy perusal. Stand against thy sight. I don't know. Let's take it from the top to the bottom again and see if it clears up at all. Now that it's maybe some sort of theme about the poet is reminding the fair youth about what a great muse he is and how you don't have to invent anything when you're talking about this person. But I know that you have to go out and be other people's muse, maybe. And if you do, Thine shall be the praise. We'll keep it at that, because we all know what that means.
All right.
I'm kidding. I don't know what that means.
I was hoping you knew.
Nope. Okay. How can my muse want subject to invent, while thou dost breathe that pourest into my verse thine own sweet argument, too excellent for every vulgar paper to rehearse? Maybe he's saying you are inventing something about me.
Wait, yeah, are these vulgar papers tabloids? Like I've been referencing?
Like, you can't believe everything they write about me in those vulgar papers.
Seriously, it might be something.
Time.
How can my muse want subject to invent, while thou dost breathe that pourest into my verse thine own sweet argument? Like, maybe, why are you making stuff up about me? Why are you making stuff up about me when everything about me is in my verse? Everything I'm so transparent in my poems. And your argument, so thine own sweet argument might be the muse making stuff up about Shakespeare.
Okay, it might be. But I still kind of want to hold on to the original one, which was a callback interpretation, which is you don't need me to invent anything, because as long as you're breathing, I write better because of you.
Okay, let's keep that in mind. And
oh, give thyself the thanks, if aught in me worthy perusal stand against thy sight. Stand against thy sight, I'm thinking it's when you look them over.
Worthy perusal stand again. Yeah, so when you look that muse over, that it's worthy. It's a worthy look over, a worthy perusal.
It stands up to your expectations. It stands up against your sight.
Basically, a reference to you're beautiful.
So if you read my poems and you like them, it's because of you. All right, this is like a Kelly Clarkson song. Are you excited that I know that? No, but that's actually no. I'm wrong, because I know what that Kelly Clarkson song is about. I think that song is that I'm more cautious about in my life now. Maybe because you broke my heart. I think we're gonna look up that song because of
what
you.
Song is this? Oh, because of you.
Yeah, Kelly Clarkson.
Is that the one? How's it sound?
Nope, not gonna sing it.
Something about sidewalks?
Yes, because of you.
Okay.
I'll never stray too far from the sidewalk. I don't know. Is that the line?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, so it's like, okay. But I think it's a metaphor. See what I'm saying? I think it's a metaphor to how she's going to fall in love. That's what I think it is. It's like, you broke my heart. You broke my heart so much that next time I fall in love, I'm going to be very careful. And I'm going to stay on the sidewalk.
Let's look up the songmeanings.net of Because of You and see what the top comment is.
All right.
That's a trivia.
So we have just tons of trivia questions that we're going to answer this week. So this is an exciting... I like the trivia questions, but first we have to verify the sonnet, which I don't feel good about it this week. What do you think?
Well, we might be onto something here. Let's keep going. Worthy perusal, so it stands up against, you looked it over, and it stands up to your standards. It meets your standards. Then that's because of you inspired so much. You inspired me so much. Because, how poor at communicating would I have to be if I couldn't write about you because of how inspiring you are? I mean, these words were invented because of you. So why wouldn't I just use the words? So then this something about 9 muses. I don't know. I think we just threw in the towel on that, and we're like, we'll find out why he's the 10th muse. But the basic idea is you're better than all the other 9 that everybody else talks about.
You're better than all the rest.
Yeah.
10 times better than all of them. And he that calls on thee... by the way, the other 9 people, that all the old poets, the rhymers, I'm taking that very literally. I'm saying that rhymers are old poets.
Yes, I think so.
And invocate, so when they were writing about those other 9 muses, they were muses, but they weren't as good as you. And you're 10 times better than them. So it's way easier to write about you. Boy, am I lucky. I'm a lucky poet. And he that calls on thee, let him bring forth eternal numbers to outlive long date. Eternal numbers... does that mean his poems, like, how many? Let him put out a bunch of sonnets, maybe 154.
No, I think the eternal numbers there is a reference to, basically, if a poet is lucky enough to write with you as their muse, that poem will go on and live in eternity forever.
And it's going in the public domain. That's how long it's going to be along. There will be no copyright. Anybody will be able to just put it up on a website. If my slight muse do please these curious days, the pain be mine, but thine shall be the praise. The pain be mine. Why would he be in pain?
Yeah, that's what we got to figure out. Why would he be in pain if the muse pleases these curious days?
That's why I'm saying that the muse was being courted by outside sources and was giving into temptations or was going off and having other experiences.
Yeah, okay. I'll accept it.
But I really don't get the last line. The pain be mine. That's why I assumed that something bad happened with do please these curious days. The pain be mine, but thine shall be the praise. I don't know where if the praise is coming from the other people that the muse is going to muse to.
Maybe maybe what he's saying is, like, if the writing is bad, I don't know. I was just thinking, because the pain be mine would be a reference to his reputation being tarnished, versus even though his reputation is tarnished, the muse will still look great.
You're right. Yes.
But I don't know.
Yes, because he said that a couple sonnets ago.
Yeah, he's talking about his reputation and stuff.
Yeah, it's like, we are not going to be together. I need you to go out there and live a great life because it's going to inspire me. And this is what Jim was talking about last week. Now he's admitting it. He's saying, it's going to hurt me, but it's what the world needs. I need to write these beautiful poems about you, so you need to go out and be my fantasy. If you stick with me, your life's going to be terrible, because then you'll be the guy that's with me, and nobody wants that. That would be terrible for you. And then you wouldn't inspire me anymore, and then it's this downward spiral. It's terrible. So you need to go out there and live a great life, not around me.
Ah, okay.
And it's going to kill me, but I'm going to stay at home, and I'm going to write these sonnets.
So we're thinking that's what he's saying about please these curious days. Just go out there and live.
Yeah. So it's like I had to replace my old garbage disposal, and my old garbage disposal says, you know what? I don't want to see you with a brand new working garbage disposal, but I want to fantasize about you living in a house that has no building up food particles in the sink, and that you could just take care of it. So I want you to have that kind of garbage disposal.
I get this mental image of you standing in your kitchen talking to your sink, and the drain hole is like moving like lips. That's the mouth for the garbage disposal, and it's just having a really deep conversation with you about moving on and pleasing the curious days.
When I was a kid, we lived in this one house from when I was born to when I was 9 years old. Maybe 10. And then we moved into the second house. So I lived my whole life in this one house. The night before we moved, I was lying in bed and I put my hand on the wall and I said goodbye to the house.
Oh God! Now I'm gonna cry. That's so touching.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever told anybody that. Yeah, I just said
awesome.
I said goodbye to my house. All right,
people. You know, if you're driving away from a campsite, you know, your parents will say goodbye, campsite. And you just kind of wave. But saying goodbye to your house that you lived in and grew up in, that's kind of, you know, that's not sad, but it's sad.
Yeah,
but it's
whatever.
A different level of sad. It's deep.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's the kind of sad where it's like, if 5 years later I'm still devastated, it's like, hey, you got to get over it. You don't live there anymore, man. You know, a house is a house. You live in a house. You know how lucky you are.
It's ruining your relationships.
What's the matter? I just want to be back in the old house, and they won't sell.
Not the old house again!
I'm putting all the legal pressure on them I can, but they will not sell.
Oh, here we go with the old Muse. Is it that garbage disposal?
It had the best garbage disposal. I've never been able to find another one like it, but the one at that house. I want to move back to that house with that garbage disposal. That old garbage disposal's gone. No, it's not. Okay. Well, I think we've done the best we can on this sonnet.
Yeah, I think so too. So our general idea is that the Muse is a good Muse. The Muse is possibly better off going out and living their own life and being a muse for other poets.
Uh-huh.
And any other poet lucky enough to have this Muse is going to have their poems live on in eternity. And it's going to hurt me, but it's going to be good for you. That's what we think.
Yeah, so when we look up the answers, then we are going to see if our grade is a little shindig, the whole shebang, or the whole kit and caboodle. So we'll find out when we come back on Mike and Scott Read a Poem. We're back. Mike, do you think we did a little shindig? Do we get the whole shebang? Or we do the whole kit and caboodle?
I think we did a little kit and caboodle here.
I'm going to be a little bit harsher, and I'm going to say we did the whole shebang.
Okay, all right, I accept that. All right. I'm not happy about it.
That's just what I feel.
No, yeah, how well did we do? What do you think?
Yeah.
After reading the interpretations, the various interpretations online.
I think that we really, for sure, missed on a little part of it, but we did a nice job. We got through the main body of it.
After reading some of the stuff that other people are saying online, the general idea, which kind of goes in line with what we were saying earlier, is that his muse is a very good muse.
Very good muse.
Anybody who uses this muse can write for eons, can write for eternal numbers. That's what he's doing when he's referencing the eternal numbers. But he references in the beginning when he says, every vulgar paper to rehearse. So thine own sweet argument, too excellent for every vulgar paper to rehearse. What we pull from that, from the other interpretations, is he's saying that you're so good of a muse that other junky writers, the little guys, they can't even use you to your fullest extent.
You're not for ordinary writers. You're for excellent writers.
Such that as would be myself, Shakespeare.
That would be a great thing to say to a woman. You go up to her and you say, or anybody. It doesn't have to be a woman. It could be a man. It could be a dog. It could be a cat. You could just go up to them and say...
You'll say it to your cat tonight, won't you?
I'll say it to my... I don't think so. My cat's beautiful, but... Oh, let me just say the message first, and then I'll decide if I'm going to say it to my cat. What you say to the person is, never let an ordinary painter paint you. You're way too beautiful for that.
You could say that to your cat. Your cat's beautiful.
Yes, but I am not an elitist. If somebody wants to practice painting and they want to paint Chippy, I'm going to let them. And I'm going to... If they don't want to keep it, I'm going to ask to keep it. If anybody wants to paint Chippy, I'm going to put a picture of Chippy up on our Twitter page. What is our Twitter handle? You don't have a Twitter page, do you?
Forget what.
We'll look it up. That'll be one of the trivia questions. I'm going to put up a picture of Chippy, and if any of you are amateur painters and want to paint a picture of Chippy, then it's okay that you're not that if you're just an ordinary painter. Okay. But that's not what Shakespeare's saying. Shakespeare's saying you're too good for ordinary writers. Only great writers for you.
He goes on to just kind of say the little area where he references the 9 other muses.
Yes.
I guess that's a reference to Greek or Roman mythology, which in Shakespeare's day, everyone was referencing. You know, it was the style of writing was to reference Greek and Roman mythology.
It was common. It was common according to Shakespeare's Dash Sonnets.
Yep. And Shakespeare's Sonnets is basically saying he wonders if this is just like a tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that the writers of Shakespeare's day were no good compared to Shakespeare himself.
They're still using the 9 muses of the 9 goddesses of poetry. Why use those? Like, that's so outdated. That's what people like. Use what's in front of you. This beautiful muse over here, but only if you're a great writer.
Exactly, and I agree with what they're saying on Shakespeare's-Sonnets.com.
You create such inspiring environment that anybody should be able to write about you.
And then the couplet, if my slight muse do please these curious days, the pain be mine, but thine shall be the praise. We originally thought that what it meant was, if you want to go out, you got to go out and live your life. It's going to hurt me inside, but...
I'm so embarrassed. That that's what I thought it was.
You're going to get all the praise.
You're rubbing it in, Mike. Oh.
But what we kind of found what it means is...
Let me defend myself
from
real
the various...
fast. Let me defend, and then we'll unveil the real meaning. If the audience wasn't just clear about already, I mean, they're probably smarter than us, so they probably saw it the whole time. I thought that maybe it had something to do with him going and taking another lover, because a few sonnets back on Wikipedia or SparkNotes or something, it said something about the fair youth stealing one of Shakespeare's lovers. So I've been really anticipating that. And I know it said starting in Sonnet 40, but hey, we're in Sonnet 38, and that's pretty close. So I think I've just been anticipating that so much, I try to make that into the, I don't know. Like
you jumped the gun.
I jumped the gun. But no, what it's saying, according to SparkNotes, I guess, is that if my muse, so the poems that I write, if people are inspired by them, or if people do a podcast about them, if they're inspired by my poems, then I was the one that had to do all the hard work in writing those poems. But you're the one that should get the praise, because I was writing about you. And without you, there would be no poems, and those kids out there in California wouldn't have their podcast.
Yeah. So this week's poem is basically about inspiration and how a powerful muse can inspire generations to come, and a little bit of a jab at standing in line with the rest of the world. You kind of want to go against what the rest of the world's doing and do something new.
Yes, do something new.
But the only way to do that is to get a muse that's as good as the muse that Shakespeare had.
Gotta get step 1, find yourself a good muse. What kind of muse you have? Oh, she's this, really nice, she's a veterinarian. Like, that's a good muse.
Yeah, that's...
All right.
Or could you imagine somebody really actually judging your muse? That's all right.
That's a muse? You call that a muse? What have you accomplished in your life? Oh, I'm working on this screenplay. Working on? Let me tell you why you haven't finished, why you haven't sold. You don't got yourself a muse. You need to get yourself a muse.
That's a Hollywood producer going at your muse.
You're going about it all wrong. I've seen your muse. I'm not impressed. All right, so we'll see if this theme is anything like the theme in Because of You by Kelly Clarkson, because that's a trivia question.
Yep.
We're going to look up Shebang, Shindig, Kit and Caboodle, and
Elizabeth
Browning. Okay. I think she was married to somebody famous. Tom Browning. He was a pitcher for the Reds. All right. So we'll look up those trivia questions and have the answers when we come back on Mike and Scott Read a Poem. So we're back on Mike and Scott Read a Poem. We have the answers to all of the trivia questions this week. Where do you want to start? Dealer, you're the dealer.
So let's start with the whole shebang.
Whole shebang.
Let's do the whole thing.
Okay.
So the whole shebang, after researching, I found it is comparable to the phrase "the whole kit and caboodle."
Equivalent.
Yep. So shebang, I guess, originally was a term, a reference to a dwelling or a house, and then it just grew from there to become, when you do something the whole way, it's the whole shebang.
All right.
Another term that's kind of similar is that we should have thought of, but for some reason we didn't. The whole 9 yards.
Yep.
So those three phrases kind of are equal, but I don't think that any one is greater than the other.
Yeah, it's all in context.
Yep.
If you were to say, I wanted the whole 9 yards, they only gave me the kit and caboodle, you would assume that kit and caboodle was smaller than whole 9 yards, even though in your culture or in your family, you use them opposite. But in the context, you figured it out. Don't stop the person and say, hey, what do you mean kit and caboodle? That's bigger than the whole shebang. And then he's like, no, it's not. My mom told me. Well, my mom told me, look, everybody has a mom. Moms tell us different things. We don't know what the kit and the caboodle and the, just everybody calm down.
It's all semantics.
Yeah.
Communication is the idea that you're conveying an idea from one person to another.
We all love each other.
Yeah.
Let's not do the whole shebang here, okay? All right, and then what's a shindig? Did you say that already?
A shindig is just a straight-up party.
Straight up party.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have Because of You, and then Elizabeth Barrett Browning. What do you want to go to next?
Let's go with Because of You, because I feel
You.
like Elizabeth Barrett Browning is going to be a good ender.
Oh, that's a
good
closer. Okay, all right,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So Because of You, like I said, we would just read the top comment on songmeanings.com.
Yeah.
And originally we were thinking, hey, maybe we can connect this song back to the sonnet, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like it's got much relevance here.
No.
So the top comment, and let me just put out a disclaimer here. I don't know how accurate the comments or how good the comments are on songmeanings.com. I'm just reading the top one.
See, I thought you
So
had
who knows
vetted
if
this.
he's right?
I thought you had vetted this, but okay, continue.
Who knows if he's right or wrong, but it's the top voted comment, so at least 5 people, because he's got a +5.
That's all it has?
Agree with him.
+5?
Yeah.
Wait, is that the amount of thumbs up he's received, or is that just his grade?
It just says +5.
All right.
Oh no, wait, no, he's got 40. Yeah, okay. So 5 users have liked what he says. One of those users has 49 points. All of this is arbitrary.
Yeah, I don't understand their rating system. I'm very confused. We got
So he
pluses,
says-
we got points. All right, just give us the interpretation.
He says, Because of You is a song about not making the same mistakes her parents made, because her parents' love ended in divorce. So here's exactly what it says.
Her parents'
Sorry-
marriage ended in divorce.
marriage and divorce,
Who knows
yeah.
when their love ended? Maybe
You're
it's
right.
still going.
Or it could have ended. Yeah, the love could have ended way before the divorce.
Could have never even been there.
That's true.
Or it could still be there today.
Sorry, kids, but it's definitely about her parents' divorce. She won't make the same mistakes of falling in love because she sees how much of it hurt her mom. She doesn't trust anyone because she sees how her dad hurt her mom and her. Because of all this, she hasn't let herself fall in love, and therefore her life is empty. That's what a lot of it says in the lyrics. Because of you, I never stray too far from the sidewalk. Like, I don't live...
Gotta say, though, it's good advice about the sidewalk, though. Literally about the sidewalk. If her parents taught her to do that, those are good parents.
Yeah, if we're interpreting it literally, it's because of you that I don't stray, that I look both ways before crossing the street.
I don't jaywalk anymore. If you see me in the middle of the street, it's because one of my stupid friends are forcing me to do it. I still give in to peer pressure, but I don't initiate jaywalking.
You should write a song about it. About how your mother taught you not to jaywalk.
Because of you, I never stray far from the sidewalk. Because you told me not to, and I trust what you say.
Yeah, unless the white hand is, or no, the white man is flashing.
Yes.
Is it?
That,
Does he flash? No, he just
No.
gets lit up.
Yeah, you go straight to the flashing red. Okay, the crosswalk is just an extension of the sidewalk. It's the most dangerous part, but you're not straying far from the sidewalk if you're in the crosswalk. It has walk right in the name.
It does. All right, so Elizabeth Browning.
All right, she was born in 1806, died 1861. Her poems were popular at the time. She was married to Robert Browning, and this is Sonnet 38. First time he kissed me, he but only kissed the fingers on this hand, wherewith I write, and ever since it grew more clean and white, slow to world greetings, quick with its list, when the angels speak. A ring of amethyst I could not wear here, plainer to my sight than that first kiss. The second passed in height, the first, and sought the forehead, and half mist, half hair, half falling on the hair. Oh, beyond meed, that was the chasm of love, which love's own crown, with sanctifying sweetness, did proceed. The third upon my lips was folded down in perfect purple state, since, when indeed I have been proud and said, my love, my own. That was hard to read out loud, but let me tell you, when I read it silently to myself, when I read Sonnet 38 silently to myself, it was very touching, because she's talking about the first 3 times that she kissed her love. And the first time,
that's a beautiful sonnet.
The first time he kissed her hand, and then now it's a more beautiful hand. The second time he kissed her, it was like on her forehead a little bit, on the hair. It wasn't quite right, but it was so sweet. And then after that, it was a perfect kiss that was folded right down on my lips, and that is when it was game over.
That's an awesome sonnet.
Yeah, nice job, Elizabeth Barrett Browning.
Yeah.
So that was a great way to end the show. You were right, Mike. And it's just, I feel like we did a really beautiful job on the show today. Don't you think? Do you think so? It's like the world is brighter.
Why do you think we did such a good job?
Well, it's not because of me. And look, I like you, buddy, but it's not because of you. I don't think so.
Really?
I think we're being inspired to this greatness that we've attained. I think it's the audience. I think the audience is such a beautiful muse that only a great podcast could give them such a performance. An ordinary podcast need not apply.
No. Ordinary podcasts aren't worthy of this audience.
Because if you're not able to make a great show for this audience, then you're not worthy of anything. So because we are so lucky, I just realized something. Because we have this audience, we're going to be able to make podcasts forever that are going to last forever. We're going to make an eternal amount of podcasts that are going to last an eternity. We've done it, Mike. But wait. We've done nothing. The audience has done everything.
Yeah, the hard work is worth the audience.
Because we're going to have to do a lot of work. But it's all worthy of you. Thank you, audience. From all of us here at Mike and Scott Read a Poem.